Which One Piece character has the biggest schlong? In the world of One Piece, there are characters who are destined to become king of the pirates, and some who are destined to become the king of penetration. And to reach that rank, you need to have the biggest meat in the verse. So in this video, I'll be ranking these 10 characters into a tier list I have named the Schlong-offs. There's a total of 3 characters in the teeny weeny tier. If you can guess all 3 characters, I'll either give you a devil fruit or some head. I'm joking. I don't have any devil fruits. Also, the characters will be ranked by their stick length in proportion to their body. So Leo the dwarf has a fair chance to beat off Kaido, who is actually our first contender. What most people don't know is that Kaido is a hybrid race. He's half Oni and halfway to the base of his schlong before he reaches your uterine wall. Kaido's BDC, Big Dragon Cock, is so big he flies around in dragon form just so his hidden Bagua isn't dragging on the floor. And it's not just his length that goes dummy, but his thick dragon foreskin has made his Diglett harder than armament Haki. You'd think all of this would put Kaido in the Drake tier, but unfortunately, we've never seen his full potential. Kaido wields in barrels of alcohol and drinks so much that he suffers from erectile dysfunction, which is the opposite of me because I always suffer from ED and use alcohol to function behind the wheel. Because he placed this nerf on himself, I'd have to dig him down from the Drake tier to here horsey. Remember, if it's land, air, or sea, always bet on Kaido. But if it's land, air, or seaman, Kaido is getting penetrated harder than the punch he took from Luffy, who will be our next contender in the Schlong-offs. Now, since Luffy is a natural condom, he can stretch his meat to crazy lengths. We see this when the baddies of Amazon Lily try to play tug of war with his mushroom. My boy Luffy was about to release a Kamo Kamo pistol. Our latex captain probably has the most versatile Willy Wonka on this list, whether it's using Gear Third to increase his girth or using Snake Man Luffy to curve his tip in whatever direction he wants. And by the way, at what point is it considered too much curving? Like, my shit is starting to look like a ram's horn and spiraling into itself. I knew I shouldn't have let Smoothie give me that handy. With all these feats, it's no surprise that Luffy will be going into the Drake tier, is what I would have said before he unlocked Gear 5. The 5th gear allows him to bend reality to his will. I wonder if he could bend my meat back into a straight line again. Because of this power, we'll open up a new tier labeled Sun God. No, stop it, it's too big, I can't take it anymore. And placing him there. Sorry Drake, Toon Force is too OP. He can literally make his Kevin Hart stretch to the moon. And once there, he could say hello to our next contender, Enel. Now, as many of you know, after Luffy fisted him, Enel took a trip to the moon and recruited a group of robots called the Automata. Unfortunately for the robots, Enel was not a kind leader and took out his frustration of losing to Luffy on them. Sadly, half the army was destroyed after Enel's nut malfunctioned their circuitry. But besides the yogurt spraying, he would have destroyed them anyways, cause his hammer is crazy big. Enel uses piercings on his meat to make it droop down, similar to his earrings. But that's not the only similarity his meat shares with his appearance. As you can see, Enel always wears a do-rag to commemorate him being uncircumcised. And while this does add an inch or two, it's nothing crazy. Not like having a fetish for strong calves. That would be crazy. I'm so glad I don't have that, because if I did, I'd probably beat it to Blue Gilly every night. But I don't. This is all hypothetical. And sorry for going off on a 5-sided tangent, a pentacle, but Enel is kind of forgettable. And while the length of your tentacle is skeptical, I'd be feeling regrettable if I didn't place you in the tier of the sizable. I don't know what was up with all those rhymes, but I felt like Dr. Seuss. If only I was a real doctor, I could have saved our next contestant, Edward Nudegate, aka White Tip, aka the world's schlongest man. This man Whitebeard was packing. Even his crewmates knew this, so they called him Daddy. And Whitebeard could back this up as he victimized opponents like Akainu with a Gape fruit. But Akainu couldn't live down being bottomed, so he splurged on Whitebeard and fisted Ace. Does that technically make Whitebeard Ace's Eskimo father? Question for another day, I guess. It's clear that Whitebeard has big dick energy, but how big was his schmeckle? Well, Oda actually mentioned in an SBS that Whitebeard's sword, the Muragawaga Teki wo Karao, was modeled after his lightsaber. In fact, when you line them up, the tip of his stick reaches the tip of the sword. So with that, I think it's fair to say that Whitebeard can go inch for inch with Aubrey, so he'll be our first member in the Drake tier. We've had some pretty heavy hitters so far, almost as heavy as Usopp's 10-ton hammer. And yes, I'm talking about the hammer inside his overalls. But Usopp is an interesting character to place on this list. As you know, Usopp tends to beat stronger opponents by using tricks and unique tactics instead of sheer strength. Well, the same is true for Sex. He uses tricks like shooting at a dartboard with his extremely accurate nut shots to compensate for his 3mm defeater. But is this enough for him to pull? Absolutely not. So what does he do? He lies about his size and says it's the same length as his nose. He even told Kaya that he's as big as a bull and cucks people from all over the East Blue, when in reality, he's more like a baby bull. What are those called again? Oh right, they're called calves. Sorry about that. I was pretending to be a person who is sexually attracted to the muscles on your lower leg, and that word just set me off. Again, just pretending to see how those weirdos live. And it's hard for Usopp to live down the fact that he's the smallest size Straw Hat. Even Chopper has him beat when he uses Monster Cock Point. Sorry Usopp, you and your Kabuto will be shot down into the teeny weeny tier. Let's stick with the Straw Hats and talk about our next meat rider, Franky the Goat. I can proudly say that cyborgs are one of the most breedable races in One Piece. I actually covered this in a previous video, which I'll link in the description. But Franky has essentially gotten a Dominican dick lift for his robotic third leg during the time skip. His Womb Raider is now an expandable cylindrical rod that vibrates and pumps out Cola Blast at a rate of 1 liter per minute. And if that wasn't enough, he's also modified his rod to have a
good smell, flavor.
All of these genital gadgets make him an easy contender for the tier of here horsey, but nothing comes easily in life. Except for me coming after staring at some cankles. I mean certain people looking at cankles. It's kinda cheating for Franky to be placed so high when his modifications are what gave him his size. So we're gonna rank him based on his unmodded dingus, which is basically non-existent. And this was confirmed by Nico Robin as she juggled his nuts. Nuts, get it? Because he's a cyborg and has metallic.
Shut your ass up.
So our cyborg will be pushed down to the teeny weeny tier, making him a cuckborg. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that coming. Unlike Katakuri, who sees everything coming with his future sight Haki, Katakuri is one of my favorite characters, but I'll try not to glaze him like he glazes his donuts. Using his mochi mochi fruit, he can increase his chub to ridiculous lengths. He even outgirthed Luffy when they fought. Plus, his armament Haki can harden his tallywhacker immensely, which changes him from Big Mom's number 1 to her number Wang commander. It's no surprise that Katakuri uses a sweater to hide his teeth, but not many people know he wears a similar sweater on his Dickly Puff. And although Katakuri has never officially measured his incredible bulk with a ruler, he has stacked donuts on it, and as of now, his record is 48. So with that, I'm done meat riding him like he was a horse, and will be emptying him in the here horsey tier. Speaking of donuts, let's talk about Ace's brother, Sa-D-Bone, aka the Fuck Emperor. Sabo is known for laying pipe both on and off the battlefield, and it's no surprise he leaves you with a burning sensation after he finishes. It's clear as Shiryu that Sabo smashes baddies. But how big is his dragon's tail? Well, no one knows, not even Sabo. He measured his Mario multiple times, but due to his amnesia, he can never remember the actual length. If I had to guess, I'd say he's decent, but definitely the smallest out of the brother trio. Sabo comes from royalty, and I come from the body part below the knee. And royalty is famous for inbreeding to keep the bloodline pure. The multiple years of incense have led to birth defects and reduced Sabo's top hat significantly. Lucky for Sabo, he's good with his fingers, and he uses his Dragon Claw technique in bed to compensate. And while Sa-D-Bo is still in the D clan, the nerf has made his capital D into a lowercase 1. So with that, we can safely place him in the sizable Sigma tier. Hopefully we get more screen time of Sabo soon, and I'll be able to make a more educated guess. But some characters like Shanks don't need a lot of screen time for me to know the length of their long dong silver. Hey, the man might be missing an arm, but he makes up for it by having 3 legs. Also, it's said that rats procreate fast, so he needs something to satisfy his partners. Now, there's a lot of mystery around this man, but we know for sure that he has one of the most powerful Haki in the verse and can make people fall to their knees and tie their hair back. I'm just waiting for the day that Oda finally shows the true potential of Shanks and stops edging us. I mean, even his outfit is a striptease. Why'd he have to hide the best part of his body? Anyways, Shanks is also a swordsman, and we know that they go through rigorous training for their hidden sword. What this training looks like is still unknown, but we do know that Zoro's 4th sword grew immensely in the time skip after practicing against Mihawk's Black Blade. So because Shanks isn't just stacked, but is proficient in wielding his ham candle, we'll position him in the Drake tier. And last, and certainly least, we have our final contestant, Akainu, or as I like to call him, Bitch. The very first thing you notice when looking at Sakabozo is that he's always mad. Is he mad that pirates are gaining power or his admirals are high on the job? Yes, but that only accentuates the rage he has for being cursed with a Pico Pecker. Because Akainu ate the magma fruit, his body temperature is naturally high. This means his sea prism stones can't produce enough testosterone, and that hinders how hard he can get. Even when he takes the load off, all he can manage to get his Adolf Dickler to do is get semi-hard. Kinda like a very ripe banana. You'd wish it was firmer, but you'll eat it anyways. This haphazardness, or should I say half-hardness, has made Akainu one of the most insecure characters in the series. So he compensates by ruling with an iron fist and just straight up fisting. Although he tries his best to hide this, he has been caught multiple times stroking his cigar, pretending it was his flesh cigar. Sorry to place you next to the people you hate most, but Akainu will be joining our pirates in the teeny weeny tier. And that's the list. I hope you enjoyed this season's schlong offs as much as you hate yourself for watching the whole thing. Leave a comment for some other characters you'd want to see in the next playoffs, and perhaps I'll make a part 2. If you feel a certain type of way about my calf fetish, you should go to therapy, because it's not nice to judge others, and we can go there together once you subscribe for more One Piece and anime content. Bye bye!